welcome again to Community Insights TV program, an outreach of community outreach network and churches fellowship. We are so excited today to have our guest with us, and we're going to be talking about something that should be of interest to all of us and certainly can be critical information for us and our families as we talk with Vicky Daugherty, who is coordinator of community outreach for Vidant Health, Vidant Medical or Wellness Center. Welcome, Vicky, to Community Insight.
Thank you so much for having me.
And yes. I am your host, by the way, today, Pastor Eve Rogers, and we are wanting to just highlight initiatives in the community, programs, events that are coming up so that you can be informed, you can be engaged in those things that may be of interest to you, that may benefit you. You may even have some new learning that will take place as we have various guests with us on this Community Insight TV program. I am again grateful to have Vicky with us today, and we're going to talk about something that she has spoken to our interfaith clergy group about on occasions, and we wanted to bring it to the whole community of Pitt, Martin, Lenoir, Beaufort County, and all of the surrounding areas that will view this program so that you, as well as us, can know some things about it. Vicky, again, welcome. And I want to begin by talking with you just about you and your position at Vidant Health. You are the coordinator of the community outreach services. What does that generally entail before we get into specific programming?
Okay, well, I am actually one of 3 community outreach coordinators for advanced care planning. Mm-hmm. And what we do is provide education and support within the community to actually go in and educate people on what advanced care planning is and how they can achieve that. It's a free service that we offer through Vidant.
Okay, advanced care planning. I have heard a lot about that in recent times. Didn't hear a whole lot, and maybe terminology has changed or been slightly modified, so maybe that's why I'm thinking that not so much before the past few years. But begin to share with us what advanced care planning is all about.
Okay. Well, one of the reasons that you have not heard about it too much is because we're a very death-denying culture, and we don't like to talk about death and dying.
Oh, okay.
Even though we all know that we're going to die one day, we just don't want to talk about it. And our approach is that the better planning that you do ahead of time, the easier it is for your family. Losing someone you love is never going to be easy. But if they
That's
don't have to
correct.
make medical decisions for you and just be honoring your wishes, it makes for a much easier transition.
Okay. How does advanced care planning and the documents and the procedures and so forth, how does that differ from developing a living will? Are they
It is
two
the same
separate or
thing.
different?
No, they are the same thing.
Okay.
The advanced directives include the healthcare power of attorney, where you tell us who you choose to be your voice when you can no longer speak. And the living will lets us know exactly what your choices would be if there was no hope of recovery.
Okay. So this is for persons who become ill, perhaps are hospitalized or in some other residential or institutional care because of their declining or failing health.
Actually, I hate to interrupt. This is something that we do for everyone over the age of 18.
Okay.
We have the miscommunication sometimes that it's only for people who are frail and elderly. But everyone over the age of 18 actually needs to have these documents in place because none of us know when something's going to happen.
That is true.
Anything can happen to any one of us at any given time.
But this is why this information and our sharing today and at other times that you and the coordinators do is so critically important because I dare say many people do not have that level of understanding.
No.
So it's always good to ask, isn't it?
Always.
Yes.
I will tell you we've had a great deal of success on college campuses because they're here out of state, some of them. And if they can at least do their healthcare power of attorney, that tells us who to call because we actually scan them into our an electronic health record at the hospital. And if they present with their name, which is usually all we have when someone's admitted to the hospital through the emergency room, we can at least pull up a contact, their healthcare agent, know who to call. So that's huge in itself.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
We know that we're talking to the right person, the person that you want us to talk to.
How do you get to the people, or how do they get to you, age 18 and beyond,
Okay.
ill or not ill, or in need of some kind of health care or not?
Right. What we basically do, we do a lot of community events. In Greenville, we have at least one a month, sometimes two or three, depending on the need. We work real closely with our faith community because we have been in a lot of churches providing education and actually providing a clinic. And following, we usually go in and provide education on what advanced directives are, and then may come back in a couple of weeks and actually help people complete their documents. In North Carolina, it does take a notary and two witnesses, but we're able to do that in the church setting, and it really is a great ministry for our churches.
Wow, wow. Tell me sort of how one of those events may go.
Okay.
Just reflect on
Well,
something that you've done and sort of how that
certainly.
went, how the people came in and what you said and did and how they became engaged and then completed the process with you.
Well, we always really depend on our ministers, our pastors, to initiate that conversation with our congregation. If the pastors support it, then the congregation is much more willing to accept it. But what we normally do is we'll go in and do something like an educational session or an introductory session. And we might show a movie that deals with death and dying. We could do a book review if the people in the church wanted to read. We've done what we call our Hello game, which is a fantastic game that gets you talking about death and dying without you really realizing it. It's very bonding. But we do something like that just to kind of initiate the conversation. And then we come back, if we're allowed to, we come back and provide education. We'll go through the actual documents, which I have here, and you may have seen these around. And once we go through the documents and tell you all about them, then we'll set up a time to come back, and we'll line up witnesses and notaries and go ahead and get them completed and scanned into the electronic health record. So we like doing three-part series.
Yeah, that sounds great. This document is titled "To Help Ease Decision Making in the Future."
Yes.
To help ease decision making in the future. Vicky, what are some of the questions that you and the other coordinators might get or do get when you have these informational sessions with advanced care planning? I can imagine.
All
you know,
kinds of
there
questions,
are all
no
kinds
doubt.
of questions. Share
Right.
some of those with
Well,
us.
some people feel like if they sign these documents, they're not going to be able to make their medical decisions anymore, that someone's just going to completely take over. And that's not true. These actual documents only come into play when you don't have capacity to consent.
Okay, so that's a
It's
false
a
fear.
false fear. A false fear. People also feel like they're being jinxed sometimes if they sign them. If I sign this, something's going to happen to me. That's not as prevalent as it has been in the past. I do think that the conversation about advanced care planning has been so upfront. It really has come out in the last 5 years. Your doctor will ask you, do you have an advanced directive? And this is what he's
That's
talking
true.
about. Do you have a plan for your future medical care? Do you have a plan for when you can't make decisions for yourself? And 90% of us will not be able to make decisions for ourselves at the end of our life. And the other neat little tidbit is that only 10% of us will die suddenly. In other words, we'll just have a massive heart attack or have a stroke. And the way we
An
look at that is
accident.
the other 90% of us have the opportunity to plan. And the planning that you do, what are we planning for? Well, technology changes every day, and
Yes,
we
it
realize
does.
that. So what we really want, what we think is important, is that you do some self-reflection and think about what really matters the most to you. What is important to you, what brings value and meaning to your life. And once you think about that and realize really what is important to you, because it's always a quality versus quantity question. Is quality of life more important to you than how long you live? And it's a very personal decision.
Yes, it
We
is.
don't make that decision for you. We're
it
giving you
is.
the information, and these are your decisions to make. So once you think about it, we do want you to talk with your family, because what we have found is that's the piece that's missing. People are not talking about death and dying. And when something happens to somebody and you're in a medical crisis, it's very difficult to make decisions at that point in time.
Yes, it is.
And it puts a lot of strain on families. As a pastor, you know that it also causes a lot of family conflict, because they don't know what to do. And everybody's just trying to remember, or everybody's trying to make their best guess. If they've actually had a conversation with that patient and they've talked about what if this happens and what if that happens, what would you want, what's important to you, then they can make the decision. They know that they're not making the decision, actually. They're just honoring their wishes.
So this is beyond, I heard you say quality versus quantity. Would that also denote it's more than financial planning?
This has
Some people are afraid that I'm signing over my wealth
Right,
or my
right.
financial valuables or material valuables.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
The documents that we do in our community outreach efforts are only for your medical health care, your health care decisions. It has nothing to do with your money. We highly recommend that you do talk to an attorney and get those kind of estate things settled. But we do not provide that at all. Our attorneys do tell us they like us doing the health care piece because we're more familiar with it. But all we're doing is your health care power of attorney and your living will for when your health declines. So,
Is there anything that families bring to bear when you have met with an individual who say, yes, I'm ready to do that? Family members come with them. What is sort of the sense that's generated about that?
well,
Does it bring
experience-
about some?
Yeah, experience I had last month at the Council on Aging, Pitt Council on Aging. We had a family of 8 that came into one of our clinics.
Wow.
They all listened to the educational piece, and then we do an education piece. When we do it in the community, we do an education piece, and then maybe an hour or so to complete documents. All 8 of them completed their documents. But the best thing about that
goodness.
was that they had that discussion during that
Okay,
time.
okay.
And all of them will be on the same page.
Yeah.
They know what each individual person wants.
So they could
So
at
it was
then
just very
breathe a sigh of relief.
Yes.
Yeah,
We have
because I
had so
know.
many people tell us that once they actually get this completed, they are so relieved. Because it's something they know they need to do, but it's something you put off. We
Yeah,
do a
we
lot
do.
of procrastinating. Yeah, we don't want to
Yeah, we
think about
do.
it. But once you get it done, and the beauty of this is that it's a changing document. If you change your mind, you can always update it. All you do is
Okay.
complete a new document, and the one with the most recent date is the one that we use.
Okay. So, Vicky, where do these documents go? Where are they filed so
Okay.
that they can be accessed when needed?
The one thing we tell you is please do not put in your safety deposit box because you cannot get to your safety deposit box if you're admitted to the hospital on a Saturday night.
Yeah.
And this is about the health care you are receiving. This is not treatment after your death. So basically, we want to make sure that you keep your original handy and wherever you keep your safe papers, your personal papers at home, lockbox or something like that's
okay,
fine.
okay.
I keep one in the glove compartment of my car.
See, now
because-
that's vital because
yeah.
I guarantee most people would be thinking, I'll put it in my safety deposit box. That's where
That'd
my
be safe.
insurance policies
Yeah,
are.
exactly.
That's where my this is. That's where my that is.
But the bank is
Yeah.
not going to open for us to go get them on
You're
Saturday
exactly
night.
right.
And plus, unless you have somebody on your safe deposit box, nobody else can open it anyway
That's
until you're
true.
deceased. So not the best place for them. But we actually, when we do the clinics, we actually scan them, like I said, and they are made a part of your electronic health record. If you do not
Awesome.
have an electronic
Wonderful.
health record, then we create one for you that just holds that document, and if you ever need it, it's there.
Okay.
So it's great. And we're one of the
Yeah.
few healthcare systems that are able to do that.
Wow.
So we love it.
Now, let me ask you this technical administrative question, I suppose. Is this for all of Vidant Health? I know you have Vidant Health institutions located throughout the region,
Yes.
or is this just for Pitt County?
No, this is everybody. And not only is it just provided people, it is for anybody who wants to have a healthcare power of attorney and living will done. We have not, we've been some places out of our service area occasionally, but we do want to make sure it's an effort across the state.
Okay.
It is a statewide effort to make sure that
Great.
people are getting, we
Great.
want to honor your choice. We won't treat you the way you want to be treated, but we can't do that unless we know what it is.
This is such a wonderful, wonderful thing. It's going to modify our cultural thinking a bit for many of us,
Yes.
but it's something that we need to push forward. Before our time is completely gone, tell us about some of the other initiatives. I know you're primarily about advanced care planning. What are some of the other things that are going on at Vidant Health that are community-oriented that you can just mention to us?
Okay.
And I know you do have something coming up soon, so we'll get to that
Okay.
in a moment.
Right. Well, we've just had the diabetes program last week. It was very well attended. We do a lot of diabetes education because that is one of the
Yes.
serious illnesses in our community. We are doing a lot towards wellness and healthy eating and healthy lifestyles, which has been absolutely wonderful. Just to have that opportunity.
Yes.
And find out how we're doing a lot of that within the faith community as well, training health coaches and people that can help out in their congregation.
Right.
Yeah, we've got numerous things going on that I'm probably not even aware of, because we all have so much going on. I know that we've had all kinds of outreach efforts, like I say, on the wellness and safety, and just about any topic that you would want covered in any kind of event you have. We probably have someone within our organization that can provide some education and help with that.
So would you in your office be a great contact for
Absolutely.
someone in the community that's listening to us today?
Yes.
And may want to say, "Yeah, I have an idea for my church, I have an idea for my civic group that I'm a part of, or whatever the program may be, and I'm not sure how to pull it together." Can they just contact your office?
If
Say,
they will
"This is
call
what
us,
I'm
we will do
thinking.
everything
Will
we can
you-
to connect
to
them
help
with the
us?"
right people.
Wow.
Because it is a big system, and sometimes it can be hard to navigate and
Sure,
frustrating.
sure.
And I do not mind helping anyone find the right person.
Okay,
If
okay.
that's helpful. Yep.
Tell us what's coming up.
Well, on December the 9th, we have our final advanced care planning clinic in Pitt County, and it will be from 10 to 12 at the Vidant Wellness Center, which is off Stantonsburg Road,
Yes.
Stantonsburg and Wellness, that corner. And basically what we will do is at 10 o'clock, we will start with an education session that will go through the actual documents. And just for reference, we have actually made this a very practical form. Before, it was like 10 or 12 pages. And we've now reduced that to a 5-page document. 2 pages of instructions, healthcare power of attorney, 1-page living will, and the notary page.
Okay.
So we've got down to 5 pages.
Oh, okay.
So we do the education piece, and then the next hour from 11 to 12 will actually help people complete their documents, give them notarized, witnessed, and scanned into the system.
Okay.
And when they leave at 12 o'clock, they'll be done.
Okay. And this forum will be held on December the 9th
9th.
at the Wellness Center.
Yes, and if you check our website, we have not got all of our events scheduled for 2020, but you can always check our
Sure.
website to see when the next event is.
Okay,
We do them
okay.
quarterly at the Pitt Council on Aging, and probably we'll go to every other month in Pitt County at the Cardiopulmonary Rehab.
Okay. And may persons just walk into this session?
You don't
on
need to
December
make an
9th? You don't need to
appointment.
pre-register necessarily?
No. If you know you're coming and want to give me a call, that's great. But we had over 40 people at the last session at the Pitt Council on Aging, and it worked beautifully.
Wonderful, wonderful.
So-
Well, we will give your name again and your phone number. Would you please do that?
Sure. I'm Vicky Daugherty, and my phone number is 252-341-3986.
Wonderful. Thank you so very much. We have just a few moments left. Is there anything else that you would encourage people concerning this advanced care planning that we are pushing, as you said, it's a statewide, and no doubt it's a national-wide
Oh, yeah.
initiative and effort, because it is just so essential that we give consideration to this,
Right.
much more than we ever have in the past.
Well, my one piece of advice to everyone is that Thanksgiving, the holidays are coming, and you're probably going to be with your family. My suggestion, and I have a good friend in Rocky Mount that actually does this at Thanksgiving, it would be to download some of these documents and go through them and have a discussion with your family while they're here. And not because you're sick, but because you have family and you want them to know what you want. My friend in Rocky Mount, actually, at Thanksgiving, she invites all of her family over, and they eat their big Thanksgiving lunch, and then after lunch, she asks them, what they're going to do, what about their health care, what would they want at the end of their life.
Wow.
And the first couple of times she did it, it was not fun, and her grandmother said, we're not doing this, and this is not the time, but she withheld dessert from them. And actually,
Oh, my
they all shared their
goodness.
information.
Don't withhold dessert.
And now she does it every year. And her husband was diagnosed with cancer about 5 years ago. And she said that one experience, knowing that her whole family was supporting her in what she was doing, because they had all heard it from his mouth, that this is
Okay.
how he would want to be treated.
Wow.
And she said that was huge.
What a
It just,
powerful,
very powerful
example.
story.
Powerful story. Absolutely.
And I honestly believe that this is the best gift that you can give your family for Christmas. is letting them know what your health care decisions are and what kind of care you would want
Yes,
if you
yes,
could not make
yes.
those decisions for yourself.
And families afterwards can just, they can get on with the process of grieving without the extra burden of did I do
The
did I do
guilt.
my best? Did
The
I
guilt.
do what he or she really wanted or what
Yeah.
was needed?
And we all need to remember that a mother's wish is that her children will always get along after she's gone. So I really think this helps with that.
Surely, surely.
Because
And
we have
fathers
seen
would want
horrible.
that too
Yeah,
for,
well,
for
I
their
mean, yeah,
family members.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
mean,
But I
everybody
hear what
wants
you're
their
saying.
children. Yeah. You don't want your children fighting about what to do. And if you've told them what you want, then they shouldn't be fighting
And it
about
should
it.
be settled
It should be settled.
beforehand.
It's your decision to make, so make it. And let them know what it is.
Okay. And
critical.
have it written down, so to speak.
Yeah, as a hospital, we need the documentation,
Yeah.
which is the next step after. But talking to your family really and truly is the key piece.
I just
talking
love
about
the notion of doing this during gathering times. We have family reunions, as you say, Thanksgiving is coming up, Christmas is coming up, other times when family tend to get together where they hopefully are clear thinking and can just share
Right.
and come together
Right.
in this
And
forum.
it's not. It's really hard to make good decisions when you're in a medical crisis
Yeah.
because there's so much emotion involved.
Right.
And by planning ahead, it actually helps take some of that emotion out of it. And you can, like you say, you can deal with what's going on at that time rather than trying to figure out what did Mama say she wanted. I don't remember. Did she ever say that she wanted this or didn't want this? And when most people are asked, they will tell you that being connected to a machine and just being there is really not what they want. And I was shocked by that when I first heard it because I thought everybody wanted to live as long as they possibly could. But if there's no quality of life there, most people opt not to. But in our
quality of
healthcare
days.
system, we treat. You know, our default is to treat. And unless you tell us this is not what you want, that's what we tend to do.
And to take that burden at that critical moment off family members.
Exactly.
It's just so important, so important.
We want to find out what matters most to you,
Yeah.
not what's the matter with you. And then, and then
like
we want to
that.
be able to treat you the way you want to be treated,
Okay.
with dignity and respect.
Well, awesome, wonderful, wonderful. This has been so illuminating, so insightful, so helpful, and somewhat soothing in the sense that we know that we can do this, go through this process, and we have experts and professionals like you, Vicky, that will help us as individuals and our families. And we can just make for a much more or much less stressful time
Most definitely.
at some time in the future. As you say, we all must go this way if the
Right.
Lord tarries.
Well, that's exactly
yes,
right.
Yes, yes,
And the healthcare power of attorney helps even if you're just unconscious. So, I mean, that's a good thing to have in place anyway.
Okay,
So,
okay.
yeah, the living will is definitely later on in life or when you are actively dying, but the healthcare power of attorney is helpful anytime.
Wonderful, wonderful.
And we'll be glad to help anyone that wants us to help them with it.
And these documents do have to be notarized. Copies
We are-
will be filed with Vidant or with whomever, okay?
Vidant.
And then the individual or the family will keep a personal copy.
They'll keep the original.
Okay,
We never
okay.
take your originals, and you'll keep that. And then you can make copies for your healthcare agent. Make sure that your children have copies. Make sure that even your pastors, because who comes to see you when you're in the hospital? Your
Exactly.
pastor, and you want that pastor to support your family.
Right.
And they can't support your family unless they know kind of what your
What
thoughts
your
are, what you
desires are.
will. So we see faith
Wonderful.
as an integral part
Bless
of what we
you.
do.
Thank you, thank
Yep.
you, thank you so very much. Well, what just a phenomenal program this morning. We do again thank Vicky Daugherty for being with us today. She's the coordinator of the community outreach for Vidant Health, and we encourage you to listen and to consider all that she shared with you and with us this morning today. And we look forward to seeing you next time on Community Insights. Until then, be blessed. This is Pastor Rogers.